TG5EZH here, and today I'm going to be building the Velleman 3D Xmas tree for you guys. I just picked up this little kit on Amazon. It's about $10, and I've already started soldering on the resistors before I decided to make this video, but that's about it. So I'll go ahead and show you what I have so far. So over here, the two halves of the Christmas tree. As you can see how they kind of fit together there. And then here's all the parts. It's not really a lot. Just some transistors and capacitors and mostly LEDs and a couple jumper wires there. I'll go ahead and set up the camera and show you guys me putting this thing together. Alright, we're back, and you can go ahead and see the cover here I showed you a little bit earlier. On the inside of that is going to be instructions. And we'll go over these a little bit for you here. So here it's saying that you should use a 40 watt or less power soldering iron, and just some basic tips on trimming your leads and how to solder, or what your solder should look like. Sorry. We're going to go ahead and start off with the resistors. I've already done all of those except for one. I already have that put in the board. It just needs to be soldered in place. So you can see here the values for R1 through R4, R5 through R6, and R7 through R8. And here are the colors, and I'm surprised at how many different languages it has these in. So this is, if you don't speak English, this would be a very good kit for probably you. It's very simple, although you probably wouldn't be watching my video if you don't speak English. So here is going to the electrolytic capacitors, and there's only one value for all of these. It's just make sure you put them in the right orientation, and that's about it. Same with the transistors and the LEDs as well. Well, I think these are all labeled by the color. You can kind of see there. So we're on number 4. So number 5, it's showing how you solder in the battery terminals. There's just 2 springs. And number 6, you put the 2 halves together. And number 7 here, you just make a jumper to connect the 2 halves with power. And on 8, you finally put it all together. And this is a big tip. If it'll focus in there, maybe. Watch the polarity. You probably wouldn't want to fry your $10 worth of components in maybe about 30 minutes of time just by plugging it in the wrong way. So definitely look at that. And then there's just a kind of a diagram and a finished picture of what our little tree should look like. So I'll go ahead and set this down, and we'll get to it. Alright, we're on step 2 here. As you can see, the 4 electrolytic capacitors that come with the kit, I've already laid those out. And we'll just take a look at the instructions here in case you want to follow along. If you're new to soldering, there we go. The longer leg of the capacitor is always the positive side, and this is going to show what it's going to look like on the board. There will be a C and a number for just whatever capacitor you're on, so like C1 through C4. And you'll bend them down to be flush with the board, showing here. Alright, it says watch the polarity, because that's also very important on these, as well as the 9-volt battery. So I'll go ahead and set that down. I'll go ahead and grab one of these. And see, there's the capacitor I didn't solder in, so you can kind of see the leg sticking out of there. Alright, so we have C3 right here. If you can see that. And we'll stick the longer of the legs right into the positive side. And we'll have to bend that little negative lead in there. There we go. I'm just going to bend that straight down. I don't want to bend it up because I don't want to get in the way of that, which looks like it's an LED there. So I'll just fold the contacts on the back side down just to keep that in there. I'll grab another one, and as you can see here, the C4. So go ahead and plug that in, just like that. And same thing, bend it down, and just make sure when you bend your little capacitor down, make sure you don't get in the way of anything else. So you might need to bend it up. I don't think so on this kit, but just make sure you don't cover anything up. I'm going on this side. There's C1. Again, I'm going to use the longer side, stick it in the positive hole, push it through, and bend it down. See, there's nothing there. You might want to watch out just a little bit because there's a hole for the battery. One of the battery terminals. Alright, just grab the last one. Looks like there's C2, so we're going to get the long side, stick it in the positive, and you can see there's nothing there, so we can go ahead and bend that guy down. Alright, now I'll be ready to solder, so just give me 1 second and we'll get the soldering iron heated up and I'll show you that. Okay, the soldering iron is heated up. Be ready to show you soldering these connections here. Let me just zoom in a little bit. That might help in case you want to see a little bit better. And I'm going to be using my little 15 watt soldering iron I got from Radio Shack. It's a Make It kit. So I'm going to go ahead and heat that up a little bit. Now you definitely want to be careful with breathing in the fumes, and especially how much heat you apply to the boards here, because you definitely don't want to burn through a trace or something and not have your Christmas tree light up. So that's what we're going for. Alright, just kind of blow that away there. Alright, as you can see, just pick that up. Oh, it'll focus. I need to get a new camera for Christmas. Yeah, you can kind of see it there. It's not doing too well with the zoom, but you can see how those are nice and soldered. So I'll go ahead and do these real fast. There's that little pesky resistor I did not get earlier. Just get that on there. Yeah, these little contacts, they don't really want to take the heat that well. They don't want to, doesn't want to sink in. There we go. But I don't know. This is I don't really want to apply too much heat to this board. I'll just go ahead and tell you guys, since I already have the review of this soldering iron on my channel, that I did really like it at first, but then the tips kind of started going bad relatively quickly, and let's see, let me pull out some more solder. And I went to go get a new, look up and see where I could find a new tip, and the only people that sell tips for this is Radio Shack. So I don't really like Radio Shack a whole lot. So I just decided to get me a new. The instructions fell down on me there. I decided to get me a new soldering iron, so that'll be on its way. It'll be a surprise for what it is, though. Let's see. All right, all of that looks good. So all those have been soldered. So I'll go ahead and put the soldering iron away, clean it up a little bit. If you can hear that, with a little sponge there. Got me some Task Force little clippers there. So I'm going to show you how to clip these. So there's the capacitors. They're all nice and soldered in. And on your leads here, you're just going to want to get it pretty level. You want to kind of stay away a little bit from the solder, because you don't want to clip it down there too far and make it fall out. So you just want to stay right above that. Clip it right like that. I'm going to turn it down so they don't go flying into my radio gear over there. And you just do the same with all of these. You're going to just kind of turn it over just to keep it from flying anywhere. If you have better pliers or something that holds on to a little better, you might not have to do that, but it's always a good idea. So go ahead and take all of these off. Alright. So now all of your traces are gone, so your board is nice and pretty much flush. It just has solder on it. And you can see that this bent just a little bit when it got soldered on. And so you just bend it back a little if it's not too hard. So there we go, that's one side. I'll go ahead and do the other one off camera, and then we'll get to, it looks like the transistors are next for step 3, so I'll be right back with you guys. Okay, here we are on step 3, the transistors. So I've already got the transistors laid out here, and as you can see them, I'll go ahead and give you a quick little tip. So when I was my first kit, I actually built these little pieces of tape. Well, I would try and pull these little transistors out of the tape, and it's really not worth it. It's a lot of hassle, and usually they don't come out that well. So what a lot better way to do it is just stick your little nippers right on the top of that right there, and just cut all 3 of those at once, and make sure it doesn't your workspace is organized to where these won't fly too far. And then you have your nice little transistor with the little leads trimmed. So we're going to go ahead and take him, and we're going to go ahead and stick it. See, there's T1, so that way you know it's a transistor. And you can see the little flat side on the rounded edge right there. Kind of corresponds to the flat side on the rounded edge there, in case you couldn't tell. So you're just going to go ahead and kind of bend this middle pin back just a little bit, if I can do it. There we go. You're going to just stick it right in those 3 holes. We can bend it in there. There we go. You can see it. Just going to push it down a little bit, and you don't want to bend these down. I'm going to show you the instructions real fast. So if you see there on the instructions, don't want to bend these down because they have 3 pins and it would just be kind of messy. So you want to just bend them out to where they're spread out just a little bit, and then solder them in. You don't want to do too much of them. Let me move those. Move these instructions out of the way. Kind of see the pins coming out the back there. You don't want to bend those back just to hold it in. You don't want to press too hard, because if you press too hard, it'll smash it to one side, and you could end up breaking one of your little your pins, and that's not good. So it's a little bit easier to just spread these out, as you can see, and just keep it from falling out when you need to work on it. But you definitely want to get it pretty far down. Oh, there you go. Yeah, you definitely want to get it as far down as you can without bending it too much. Alright, well, I'm going to go ahead and put in all the other transistors and solder them in, and then we'll get to step 4. Alright, now we're on step 4, which is undoubtedly the most complicated part of this whole project, and that's going to be the LEDs. So I'll go ahead and show you the instruction manual here, and it tells you that, let's see if you can zoom in, there you go, the LED says the cathode goes on the little shaded part on the board, and it'll have just a little shaded part and 2 holes, and it'll kind of look like the transistor, you know how it's kind of rounded off on one side, but except it's going to have 2 pins, and it will be marked LD for LED. And there's no really particular color order, just stick them through there and bend them down to where they fold into the little holes on the board, and then solder the pins on there accordingly. Alright, so we'll go ahead and start. I'll just show a quick example of that, and since there's a lot of these, I'll just go ahead and put a couple in and then show you those, and then solder the rest in. So here you can see there's the shaded part of the board, which the instructions say the cathode goes in, and the cathode is the shorter leg of those two. So you see here, I'll put the cathode in the shorter leg. Oh, it'll go through. There we go. Then we'll just leave a little bit off the edge there, and we'll bend it down. Oh, let's maybe take a little bit more. Let's see here. Get a nice red one at the top. Alright, so if you can see that, that's about good, I think. We'll have a little red guy right there. And let's see, did I bend it correctly? I believe so. Yep, that'll just be hanging right off there, just like that. So we'll go ahead and do that with all of the LEDs, and we'll try and get a nice color spread so we can get some nice yellow and green mixed throughout with all the reds. And I'll go ahead and solder all these in and come back to you guys when it's time for step 5. Alright, now we're on step 5. We got the LEDs all soldered in, and now we're going to be on the battery terminals. So we can go ahead and take a look at the instructions here. You can see that there's 2 little holes on the board with the slot on the bottom, and you're just going to rotate the spring through the holes like you would say like when you're trying to put a key on a keychain. You're just going to solder that right on, and that'll be all for step 5. So I'll go ahead and show you putting those on real fast. So here's the board with the slot in the middle. You can also see the positive and negative, and here's the little spring. So go ahead and take that spring, and you have to kind of spread it out there, your finger maybe, and it might be a little bit difficult. I might have to move away from the camera for a second to do this, but if you can get it in there, almost got it, almost. Oh. Alright, we've gone ahead and completed step 4, and now we're on step 5, and I've just about done that as well. So I've already soldered on all the LEDs, and I've actually put in the little springs here, which I'll show you in the instructions. Alright, so you're just going to take the 2 little battery terminal springs, and you're going to push one end of the spring through one of the holes and rotate it through the other hole, and then just solder those together. So it's kind of like putting a key on a keychain. You got to put it through the little loop there. I'll go ahead and show you that a little more in detail. You can see how these are. It's wrapped through both holes there and on the back, and you just solder those 2 little points on each side, and that's going to be sitting on your 9-volt battery, and you power up all the lights for your Christmas tree. So I'll go ahead and solder those, and we'll be just about done. We'll have one more step pretty much, and we'll be able to turn this thing on and see it in action. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and cover steps 6, 7, and 8 since I've already started the little springs on. And so step 6 is just putting the tree together. So we're going to grab this side with the battery terminal, and the negative side, grab the other half of the tree, and we're going to rotate it to where the back is going to be facing the negative, because if you have it the other way, one of these resistors here is going to get caught on the capacitor here, and it's going to make it a lot harder to put them together, and you might end up breaking one of your components, and you don't want to do that because you've already come pretty far. So we're going to go ahead and line up the two slots here, and just be careful, and just gently push them together, because you don't want to break them, because these are pretty fragile. And there you go. If it's hard to push down, then you might want to just make sure nothing's touching each other, because you don't want to break anything again. And it is a little bit wobbly, so you might want to put some glue along one of the edges if you're worried about it. Otherwise, it should be fine. So go ahead and take one of the traces, sorry, not traces, the jumpers. I keep saying that. And one of the jumpers, see here, is going to say there's a J2 and a J1. So there's one that says J2, and on the back side, it's going to say J2 over here. So you want to go ahead and just feed that little guy through, and see if we can push him over into the J2 slot. Might be a little bit difficult. Might need to do it through there, and just kind of bend it around. Luckily, these are easily bent, and they're pretty long, so you don't have to worry about too much. Go ahead and get maybe some pliers or your fingers. Maybe just pull that up. I want to push that down in the middle there. Maybe get it underneath that capacitor, just a little bit. Kind of push it in there so it can't be seen, and then just solder the ends on each side here, what the copper is. And then you're going to do the same for J1. I'm not going to go ahead and push that through, but there's one of the holes for J1, if you can see it. And on the other side, see here, there's the other hole for J1. So they should be both at the top. I'll go ahead and push those through and solder them, and then we'll be ready to test it. So next time you see the Christmas tree, it should be sitting on a 9-volt battery and lit up if all works well. So I'll just bring it right back. Alright, so everything's been put together, and we'll be able to test it out here. This is step 8, if you're wondering. So we're going to go ahead and just put this on the 9-volt battery. And one of the most important things to remember is polarity. So you can go ahead and see the positive sign there. Well, on the 9-volt battery, if you're confused, the positive sign is always the smaller, the positive pole, sorry, is always the smaller side of the 9-volt battery. If you want to double check, it's on the side there on most. So go ahead and put that down now that we made sure the polarity is correct. And here comes the moment of truth. Hooray, it works! And it's not the brightest thing in the world, but I'll go ahead and turn the lights off so you can see it a little bit better. It's pretty cool. Alright, there we go. So yeah, it's very interesting. It's a very fun project for the holidays. Get you in the Christmas spirit, and it's very cool to just have around your house and show off your electronic skills, and overall it's just a fun project. So if you enjoyed it, I'd really appreciate it if you hit the like button. If you have any questions or comments, just put them down below, and I'll try and include some places where you can buy this kit in the description. And if you just want to stay tuned for more electronics and ham radio type things, you can go ahead and hit subscribe. So I'll go ahead and sign off and call it a day. So it's KG5EZH 73s. See you next time.